In ages past, Beastmen have often struggled with builds that focus heavily on big, scary, single entities. That was a different time, though, and today we're going to see Contrarian Codex try and take on this high elf build, featuring a double dragon and one of the best single entities. Yeah, you know what I mean. One of the best single entities in the game. Imric on his Star Dragon, fat 74 melee attack, 56 melee defense, huge weapon strength, almost 10,000 HP, and flying with nasty breath attacks. Moon Dragon to back him up. We've got Dragon Princes and Fireborn and Reavers there in the woods, some Spearmen and Rangers. Pad things out. Is there a caster for the Elves? Surely there must be a caster for the Elves. Anyway, maybe not. It's definitely possible. Oh yeah, there she is. Lore of Life Mage. Okay. Yeah, one Centaur being crushed in the woods already. We got Butchers of Kalkengard, Centaur's great weapons, and regular Centaurs mixed. A couple of Tuskor chariots for anti-infantry work. Ungor Raiders, Malagor up in the sky, Zangors as a front line, and a single Spearman herd. So not a lot of direct anti-large in this build. Let's see how Codex can do with, yeah, making it work. We see this big old vulture flying up in the sky here. No doubt, scouting for the Beastmen. But yeah, this other Centaur here somehow is not taking as much damage as I thought they should. Maybe because the Moon Dragon's being debuffed from the forest there. The Moon Dragon actually ends up taking some damage in that engagement as well. And somehow Malagor gets into Imric's paws. I don't know. He might have actually done this on purpose to try and get Imric to waste the Star Lance, which he does draw out. Not to mention he's going to draw Imric over the Ungor Raiders, who can then potentially get a little bit of damage on him. Yeah, you can see some damage just through sheer volume. The Ungor Raiders will be somewhat effective. But yeah, Malagor just kind of comes here and hard lands next to the Butchers of Kalkengard. They're going to get a breath attack for their troubles, lose a single unit model, and then just stay close to defend Malagor here as much as possible, which definitely makes sense. But given the mobility is away, the chariots will play, and we see a nice charge in the front line from the Tuskor chariots, running through multiple units. Nasty flock of doom. This other one here has a little bit of a harder time as they get into the spears here and don't do quite as much damage on the charge, don't have the same follow-up. But yeah, you can see the dragons immediately wanting to punish the chariots for their insolence. They're going to dive down and start to do so. Butchers of Kalkengard will probably detach, I would imagine, here into the center, maybe with some Centaurs, try and lock these dragons down momentarily. Yeah, try and get some of their more higher value units into the fight there, but Malagor is also in the area, which means he can actually contribute to this fight if he just chooses to do so. Chariots are going to get eaten up very quickly as the attack animation remains on them. Yeah, Centaurs eventually do come into fight. The frontline engagement also going so decisively in the Beastmen's favor is definitely a big benefit. You can then bring in some of these supporting infantry units and try and help out, but did lose some Ungor Raiders. Definitely pretty painful. But yeah, this Dragon Prince here, you can see how they're kind of strung out and overwhelmed. They're fighting 3v1 in many cases and on an individual model basis against Centaurs and Zangors, so really not an ideal situation for them at all. And keep in mind, these Zangors, of course, will get stronger as Malagor spams that Flock of Doom. But we see a big old dragon horn being popped. Better late than never, I guess. There's a lot of units that have already routed, but Fireborn just absolutely maul some Centaurs with that active. And, of course, the two dragons themselves looking for a target. I didn't actually get a ton of benefit from the dragon horn uptime. Instead, moving over to breath attack the Butchers of Kalkengard. Yeah, probably should wait till they actually get fully, like, clumped up around the mage. Yeah, looks like the breath attacks there mostly ineffective, but with the Fireborn charge and the Dragonborn follow-up, puts the Kalkengard in for a very bad time. Their weakness to fire being capitalized on by the Fireborn here with their extra anti-large, and yeah, Butchers of Kalkengard are the next unit to just be mass-gooned here by this absolute death squad. Although, their terror still kicks in, and the Fireborn and these Reavers route that hopefully will afford the Centaurs an opportunity to chase them, get some free damage, and try and get them off the side of the map here, which is relatively close. Probably can do so. But at this point, it's going to come down to just the dragons, I think. And yeah, the High Elves is going to be relying very much on them. Book of Hoeth recharging some Winds of Magic to try and keep the dragons healed as much as possible, but yeah, I mean, we've got plenty of Ungor Raiders here to keep up some missile DPS. We've got plenty of infantry units to kind of feed one by one here. Notice how Codex here has, like, only a couple Zangors. He's not, like, YOLOing in all of his stuff, but... Ooh. Oh, what is that? That is Dwellers Below there, attempted to be cast on the big blob of Raiders. It is going to do some damage. We'll catch up some of their unit models in there, and at the very least force them to move. But I honestly think maybe you use that to hit this blob where the dragons are fighting, and use that to, you know, get these Centaurs away. They can either stand and die or get them away. That allows the dragons to get up in the air, maybe get one more round of breath attacks, and then charge down. Probably just go directly after the Raiders to try and get a terror out on them. That's what I would do if I were in the Hylos position right now. But instead, we saw the Dwellers get used on the Raiders. The dragons just continue kind of grinding in combat here, and I don't think they even have one more breath attack each. I believe they do. Yeah, I believe, yeah, both of them have one more. Moondragon even has 2 more breath attacks, so losing out on a significant amount of value of the dragons, not using those, is a super important aspect of dragon gameplay in Total War Warhammer 3, is using those breath attacks as efficiently as possible, or just using them in the first place, honestly. Even if you just use them, it's better than not using them, right? So, yeah, Malagor gets absolutely crushed here between 2 angry dragons, but one dragon gets routed. The Moondragon gonna route away here. It does get up into the air, maybe can come back and use both those breath attacks in the late game. But with the Mage of Life also getting routed here, it's not going to have as much opportunity to heal. And the Raiders, yeah, just bursting down Imrik. Quantity has a quality all its own, and even when you're only dealing 1 AP damage per shot, the Raiders, I mean, there's, what, 240 of them here, basically, minus a couple unit models. And, like, 12 non-AP damage, which is a pretty good amount, especially considering Imrik is exhausted. His armor's down to just 68, so a lot of that non-AP damage is actually getting through. And I can see the Zangors cackling with glee as they know victory is nigh. Despite the healing from the High Elves, can't stave off the inevitable, and yeah, a little bit too much on the big single entity spend. Now, granted, dragons have always been vulnerable to a degree to Ungor Raiders, and both Raiders here, yeah, 1,500 and 10,000 value there. I do think had Caranthir used that Dwellers Below to bail the 2 dragons out, get back up in the air, and especially, like, using the breath attacks, especially for the Star Dragon, I get on lower model count units, because they are actually better against lower model count units, even single entities. The breath attacks from the Moondragon, I would have for sure tried to line up on the Raiders. The Moondragon's breath attacks are okay against single entities. It's better against infantry units and you know, multi-model units generally, especially if you can get it down the side. And the Raiders, you might not respect them. They are ultimately, you know, low-tier archers. Got stock and Vanguard, some other things going for them, but they are just low-tier archers at the end of the day. But you gotta respect them, especially in a situation like this. Thinking about your win condition, like, what in the Beastmen's build can actually threaten the dragons? As we saw, the Butchers of Kalkengard cannot. You know, especially with a good engagement, good cavalry support, they'll just get absolutely crushed. No, in fact, the only thing really that can offend dragons in a very significant way is the Raiders, sheerly through their volume of fire, 3 of them, right? So I just think the High Elves, from a targeting priorities perspective, needed to prioritize taking down the Raiders, especially early breath attacks on those Raiders. Not a lot the Beastmen could do about it, and then you just free up, you know, your dragons to be able to have a little bit more free reign on winning melee all over the battlefield. But that's just my 2 cents. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.